his addiction to pornography.
An addiction to pornography.
Addiction to internet pornography. So there are millions of people, an estimated about 40 million Americans who surf pornography online, but there are some who say as many as 10% of that are addicted. So that means that they're basically spending many hours a day surfing pornography, getting in the way of family and friends and work and so on. We talked to one guy who actually lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We met him at a church gathering out there called Porn and Pancakes. This is put together by a group called XXXchurch.com.
In the U.S., porn generates $13 billion each year, $3 billion from the internet alone. Internationally, that figure reaches a staggering $97 billion. That's more revenue than the NFL, NBA, and MLB combined. It's estimated 1 in 5 smartphone searches are for porn, and each second, 28,000 people are watching it online.
Just based on the couples that I've seen through the years, at least 50% of the couples that are coming forward have some type of struggle with either pornography or internet affairs or some type of sexual issue.
It's clearly a problem. People have lost careers, family, and their lives to this industry.
The staggering size of the pornography industry, its influence upon the media and the acceleration of technology, paired with the accessibility, anonymity, and affordability of porn, all contribute to its increasing impact. A wave of porn plague sweeps throughout the world, affecting people from all walks of life, creating havoc to almost everyone who sees it, with over 75 million porn addicts worldwide and growing fast. It has also reached the Muslim world. Porn addiction has destroyed families and societies. Not only is porn addiction a health issue, new research shows that porn has a devastating effect on the brain. Shocking statistics show how a whole new society of problems has caused this growing world epidemic that has been blamed for high rates of divorce, child molestation, increase of rape cases, and abuse against women and children. Big business. In 2006, the sex-related entertainment business estimated revenues were just under $13 billion in the US, according to the president of the Adult Video News Media Network. At that time, US porn revenue exceeded the combined revenues of ABC, CBS, and NBC. In 2007, global porn revenues were estimated at $20 billion, with $10 billion in the US alone. From 2001 to 2007, internet porn went from a $1 billion a year industry to a $3 billion a year industry in the US. It is estimated both global and US porn revenues have been reduced by 50% between 2007 and 2011 due to the amount of free pornography available online. Porn and the World Wide Web. Every second, $3,075.64 is spent on pornography. Every second, 28,258 people are viewing pornography. Every 39 minutes, a new pornographic video is created in the United States. 35% of all internet downloads are pornographic. 42.7% of the internet users view pornography. 30% of porn addicts are women and 70% are men. 1.5 billion pornographic downloads per month. Over 420 million pornographic pages. Over 13,000 porn movies produced every year, 4.2 million pornographic websites, 68 million daily pornographic search engine requests are related to pornography, 72 million worldwide internet users visit adult sites per month. In the US, internet porn pulls in $2.84 billion a year. The entire worldwide industry is worth $4.9 billion. In the US alone, 40 million Americans are regular visitors to porn sites. Social scientists, clinical psychologists and biologists have begun to clarify some of the social and psychological effects, and neurologists are beginning to delineate the biological mechanisms through which pornography produces its powerful negative effects.
Scientists are just now, over the last decade, beginning to understand what pornography really does, how it affects our brains, and psychologists are understanding how it affects our behaviors, and sociologists, our society. And so we're just beginning to understand that it can be just as addictive as drugs, as hard drugs. And we'll explain how, because I know that there's some skeptical eyes out there kind of thinking, wait a second, drugs? Really? I don't sniff it, I don't inhale it, I don't inject it. How is pornography like a drug, guys? The largest group of internet porn users is youth, ages 12 to 17. Do you know what the average age of exposure is for pornography? 11 years old. 11! And 9 out of 10 youth ages 8 to 16 have seen it. So we know what it is. We know what it is. We're not here to define it. Get this, every second, now, 30,000 people are viewing online pornography. And what was the largest group of internet porn users? 12 to 17, so you see how a lot of those are there. And girls, watching this right now, listen up. A lot of you tune out for topics like this. You can think, okay, it's a guy's issue, it's not my issue. Recent statistics show that 30% of addicts are women. That number has skyrocketed over the last decade, and it's growing. So current research is showing that pornography is a drug, and that it can lead to addiction. But some of you are looking out there going like, well, how? It doesn't make any sense. How? Again, I don't sniff it, I don't smoke it. Well, how? Let me show you. Pornography goes in through the eyes, in through the iris, and triggers a release of chemicals in your brain. Chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, epinephrine, oxytocin. Now, this is a science class, but you may have heard of some of those. Now, these are natural chemicals that your body produces. These chemicals are needed. When you do drugs, hard drugs, or look at pornographic material, your brain is overloaded with these chemicals. After you keep looking at porn, your brain gets used to those high amounts and builds up a tolerance. Those same images that once gave you a rush don't have the same effect anymore. In order to get that same rush, it not only takes more of it, but it also takes a more hardcore version of it. Your brain becomes dependent on that rush of chemicals and literally rewires itself to think that that's normal. And so you cannot function without it.
An addiction, online pornography.
So 12 to 13, all the way up to probably 14, it was kind of there, uninterrupted. I became almost numb to it.
Meaning what?
It became such a part of my pretty much daily routine.
It was automatic.
It was automatic, yeah, exactly.
Nathan is far from alone. There is still little research on just how many U.S. kids are addicted to online pornography, but one study reports exposure can begin at a very young age, for some as young as 8 years old.
I was first introduced to pornography when I was in 3rd grade. I had a friend named Spencer at school who told me about a website.
The first time I looked at pornography, I think, was either in 5th or 6th grade. I was over at a buddy's house, and a bunch of us were all just hanging out, and decided to get on the computer, and didn't really know what was going on, but all of a sudden, we're just looking on the internet. Next thing I know, he's going on a website and just started looking at porn.
I didn't really think anything was wrong with it. I mean, I remember watching girls on MTV who were mostly naked, so why couldn't I just look at one that was all the way naked? That I didn't really see a problem with that, just that I knew they couldn't put totally naked girls on TV. So I guess that kind of snowballed for a while, and I started looking at it by myself on the internet and things like that.
I'd have buddies over, we'd just be goofing around and turn it on. All just hanging out, playing video games, and kind of bored, stop playing video games, and oh, well, let's look at this, change the channel, and you're watching that, and it's just kind of like a joke.
At a Minneapolis private school are doubling down, saying they fully support a student field trip to an adult sex store. But that is not sitting well with one parent who pulled his kids from that school and says this is a criminal matter. Fox 9's Jonathan Cho live in Minneapolis now with the latest on these developments. Jonathan?
Yeah, Amy, after pulling his 3 children from the school last week, this dad filed a complaint with Minneapolis police today, accusing some of the school leaders of exposing minors to pornographic material. And he's now considering his legal options.
Well, it's no secret that sex sells when it comes to advertising, but how far is too far? The latest research shows there's been an increase in sexualised images of children in the media, and that could potentially cause great harm to young people.
Everybody's looking at me now. You don't have to look hard to find sexualised images of children in popular culture and advertising. A conference on children and the media has been told sexualised images of young people are taking a terrible toll.
We're seeing children engaging in disordered eating behaviour in primary schools, which is of great concern. And we certainly have the impact of these images on desensitising children to sexualised behaviour and particularly aggressive behaviour.
Professor Louise Newman says the latest UK government research shows an increasing number of children worried about their body image, and they're becoming sexually active earlier as they're exposed to an unprecedented amount of sexualised images of children. She says kids under 8 don't understand the impact of these images.
about something that will absolutely make you vomit on yourself. It is one of the most disgusting things I've ever read or heard in my entire life. And trust me, I've read and heard as much as you can possibly fathom at this point. And every day it gets sicker and worse as we've seen people dressing as dogs, living as dogs. We see bestiality, certain forms of bestiality legalized in Canada. Now we have just absolute insanity and perversion being allowed, being accepted, and that is that child sex dolls the size of girls aged 3 years old are available to buy in the UK, and it's completely legal. This is so disgusting and so disturbing, and what this is the future of our society as the end times and Bible prophecy continues to be fulfilled. That we're going to have people being allowed to buy 3-year-old dolls and have sex with them, and people support it and say, well, what's wrong with that? It's just a doll. As they promote the perversion, and it starts there. It starts with these men buying 3-year-old dolls the age of 3 years old, as you can see from these pictures, little dolls that look like little 3-year-old girls or boys, and they have sex with them. And you know what that leads to? It leads to them saying, this isn't enough. I need more. I mean, the doll is good and all, but I'd love to try the real thing, because they're going to come out and talk about how people who are born with this fetish for having sex and lusting for children, they're born that way. It's not a choice that they're making. They can't help it. They'll have fake doctors come out. They'll have fake people reporting on it saying, oh, but this isn't a choice they're making. This is how they were born, and they should be allowed to act on it somehow. So it'll start with the acceptance of having sex with 3-year-old dolls, where people go, that's fine, they're not harming anyone. Next thing you know, they're going to be allowed to have sex with 3-year-old boys and girls, and all of this sick Aleister Crowley satanic obsession with sex with children and sacrificing children, which currently goes on, which you see tucked into other religions. All of these false religions are linked to the mystery religions, the mystery schools, Satanism. It's all linked to pedophilia, and they want all the stuff they do in darkness, including dressing, cross-dressing, which they've been doing for decades and centuries in secrecy. We have politicians dressing as women, and then people think it's a joke when Rudolph Giuliani dresses as a woman. We're supposed to find it humorous and cool. These people are perverted, sick, disgusting demons. And what is coming next is the finalization of this, which is the allowing of grown men to date and marry young girls and boys.
Aisha was married with the Prophet at 6 and consummated the marriage at 9.
Mary was at the age of 12 or 15 when she got her baby, Jesus Christ.
If a girl wants to start her high fashion modeling career at age 19, I think that's a little bit too old for most modeling agencies.
There is no cure for pedophilia.
When is it considered pedophilia? Under the age of 16, 14, 12?
There is a difference between the general public term of pedophilia and the professional definition.
Yes, I think ultimately pedophilia will be accepted.
One is that there's a conference which some are saying aims to normalize pedophilia, and this is a small group of psychiatrists and other mental health professionals which are, they took part in a conference called Before You Act. B, the number 4, the letter U, act. And the concern here is that Before You Act is looking to remove pedophilia from the American Psychiatric Association's Bible of Mental Illnesses, which is the DSM-4. And critics are warning that if this Before You Act conference succeeds, there could be decriminalization of pedophilia.
If this isn't a biblical sign of the end of time, nothing will be. This is absolutely insane what I'm going to read to you. Pedophiles are perfect, according to the psychiatrist of the American Psychiatric Association. Now, let me just read this to you. In 1990, well, first of all, the Before You Act calls pedophiles minor attracted people. They want to change the terminology from pedophilia to minor attracted people, like it's a preference, like it's an orientation. Oh, okay, so you got straight people, gay people, and now minor attracted people.